Afternoon, everyone. My name is Arnaud Perrier. I'm with Envivio, and we're here today to talk about money. Everybody likes to talk about money, right? More specifically, about total cost of ownership and return on investment through the use of cloud technology for delivering video to consumers. But before we get to that, I'd like to spend a few minutes telling you a little bit about Envivio for those who don't know about our company, about our Nuage cloud video service, and then we'll get into the numbers and crunch numbers together. So Envivio is powering the multi-screen TV revolution. Our mission is to make the video content universally available on any device across any network at the best possible quality, up to 4K resolution, 60 frames per second. And our software powers some of the world's largest multi-screen services out there. Some of you probably use some of those services today. At a glance, we are the pioneer and the market share leader in video processing infrastructure. Our core products include video processing, video delivery, and personalization. We strive to provide superior quality of experience, the best quality possible in the business, on any device, any network, anytime, with carrier-grade reliability, and software that can be deployed over private or public clouds. As a matter of fact, most of our customers today are some of the world's largest MSOs, especially here in the US. And on any given day, we power in excess of 50,000 live linear ingest channels throughout the world and originate close to 500 million streams live streams being delivered into various CDNs and managed networks to consumers. So chances are you've watched our streams, you just don't know it. We've been early on innovator and a leader in cloud technology for delivering video. We started in 2012 with this first milestone, where we first powered live linear cable channels in the private data center. That's what was done with one of the US's leading MSOs. A year later, one of our large MSO customers took our software, virtualized it completely on VMware to make operations easier. That was the next logical step. Last year, then we went on to virtualize completely the workflow production of their live cable channels going to multiple screens. And this has happened to over 10,000 live cable channels in the US. So all of this operates now in a virtualized environment in the private data center, but increasingly our customers are looking at hybrid approaches and even public cloud approaches to reduce their cost and to facilitate operations. So what is Envivio Nuage? So think for a minute about harnessing the power of that carrier-grade processing software that we operate in MSO's private data center. And think for a minute that you can take that and operate it in hybrid or completely in the public cloud and create your own service with it. That was our vision when we created Envivio Nuage SaaS service. We set out to create a complete white label managed service that ingests live and on-demand content and delivers it directly to consumers so that you could create in 30 days or less, your own virtual operation. You could become in 30 days, let's say you're the next Netflix, the next Sling TV for that matter, since it's something that launched recently. That is our vision with Nuage. It's a B2B service, making it possible to market those services directly to consumers. And at the core of that service is three major pillars, and some of them use our own products, and some of them use some of our partners' products integrated as part of the solution. So for processing, we use, of course, the best of breed Envivio software products for transcoding and workflow. For delivery, some of our products as well for origin and packaging, Cloud DVR, things like catch-up TV, start over, also personal recordings in the cloud, and also, of course, the content delivery. And then maybe more importantly, the monetization aspects through the use of DRM. Of course, you have to enforce it if it's a pay TV service, but also ad insertion. People make more and more use of dynamic and targeted ad insertion, so that you can get higher CPMs by targeting individual users based on their preferences, watermarking, and analytics. And last but not least, the content management itself, the workflow aspects, and the creation of the apps for a whole variety of devices out there, which is increasingly complex. So Nuage covers a number of applications, of course, file processing and delivery, which is, I would say, the easiest piece in this whole solution, but also live linear channel, ingest, transcoding, and delivery, up to 4K resolution. Dynamic advertising, so insertion in pre-roll, mid-roll, post-roll in VOD delivery, but also insertion of targeted ads in live linear streams based on triggers. Analytics and cloud DVR functions such as basic time shifting, but more increasingly catch-up and personal recordings. And you can do that by delivering those services to the most popular devices out there, right? So when you undertake an OTT delivery project, you have to hire vendors, you have to hire a client, a client vendor software. You need usually you get an SDK. You have to develop, the apps for each and every one of those devices. Very time consuming. You have to customize it. We've worked with partners to create a portal that automatically generates apps for all of the devices you see here based on common templates. Drastically reduces your complexity, your expense, and your time to market when you want to launch a device. And as a quick example, we've done first deployment with BSkyB in the UK as a benchmark. I want to give you. They wanted to market their Sky News channel to the US on Apple TV, and they didn't have the group to do that, or the infrastructure, or the knowledge even to do such a thing on Apple TV. So together with our partner, we worked on enabling that for them, and the turnaround time from beginning of the project to the time they were on air in the US on Apple TV was 2.5 weeks. That's how fast this cloud technology allows you to move. We took on a bit more complicated project, which was this was free news channel, that anybody can get access to. They had a more complicated project for Sky Sports, a la carte packages that they would market as part of their Now TV service, which is a pay OTT service for 6 live sports channels, 24/7, Apple Fair Play product protected. And for that project, it took about 8 weeks from start to finish. It's been really successful for them. So that's just a quick example. Let's get to the heart of why we're here. Talk about cost and numbers. Wanted to show you a real-world analysis of what does it mean. I want to undertake an OTT project. I want to market my content to consumers. How much is that going to cost me? And how much money can I make on that? And that's a question that we get over and over and over again from our customers. Why should I do that? Show me the numbers. What does that mean to me? So I just want to take a quick example of an actual customer deployment. Customer is going to remain anonymous because we don't want to breach NDAs here. So for the fun of it, we'll call it Arnaud TV for the time being. What they wanted to do is deploy a greenfield multi-screen pay TV service, not unlike the package that Sling TV just announced in the US, but to a broader scale. They want to deliver 300 live linear channels. They have a fairly reasonable size VOD library, about 3,000 assets that they want to deliver as well. And as part of the strategy, they want to offer 7 days of catch-up TV service on most of those live linear channels. So there's also an archiving, recording aspect to the complexity. Their goal is to reach 100,000 pay subscribers, an average of here as an example, $10 per month per user, which you might argue is low in a market like the US, but some people might say it's high if you're marketing content in places like India or Asia Pacific. But it's a good average. I think it's conservative. And they also wanted to monetize their service by the use of dynamic ad insertion, create an additional revenue stream, and target at least the devices that you see here. Probably more, but at least those. And so their goal was to successfully ramp to 100K subscribers within 3 years. Planned for profitability as fast as possible with manageable risks. And so what we do is here, look at a 3-year time frame and the total cost of ownership over those 3 years in 2 different cases. One, they spend quite a bit on CapEx, maybe take a bank loan to purchase all the hardware and software that they need to do that. That's the on-premise use case. 2, they outsource the service to the Envivio Nuage solution as a turnkey SaaS. And we compare both solutions. At the end of the day, at Arnaud TV, I'm really anxious to launch that service and make it a success, but my CFO is a stinker. He's breathing down my neck. He wants to see the numbers, right? So, and that's going to be the gating item. So let's go over some assumptions so you can understand the numbers. First, for on-premise, we assumed that that project took about 9 months, which is also fairly common and conservative, I would say, from start to finish. That involves sourcing software from various vendors, doing some RFPs as necessary, and mostly CapEx spending the first year, a lot of purchases. And that involves, of course, having a small engineering team, core engineering team, to run those RFPs, to integrate the software, the various pieces, as well as an operations and at least one IT resource to do the basic work. On the cloud's SaaS side, of course, there's no RFPs, and you can launch. Their assumption here was to launch in 30 days with no CapEx spending whatsoever. So these are the 2 models that we compare. And I looked at 2 different scenarios. The first one is assuming this Arnaud TV project is going to be a success. Let's say we do reach, in the order of 100K subscribers within the 3 years. We reach our goals. And when you look at the 2 different cases, on-premise versus cloud, the first difference you'll notice is when you undertake this first 9-month project, of course, you can't get revenue right away because it's taking you 9 months in the first place to get to the first paying subscriber. So the difference you see here is 3 months of service left in the fiscal year, as opposed to 11 months worth of service with the cloud option. Of course, in years 2 and 3, you catch up, and your subscriber base grows up. But probably you'll get to the 100K subscribers a little faster because you got a head start with the SaaS option. So that's the assumption for this analysis. So let's look at the spending a little bit. And bear with me here. There's a lot of numbers, a lot of details. You can probably look at all the different categories that you have to spend on offline. But the bottom line is, on the on-premise scenario, you have to spend most of your CapEx the first year. And that's about $3.6 million in this particular case. And you'll see that most of the money is being spent, no surprise there, on the live transcoding infrastructure and software for the 300 channels. For the content delivery network, you need to build a CDN and size it for those 100K subs. Provision all the servers, the storage that you need, and the various pieces, DRM, content management, middleware, and so forth, right? Now, in years 2 or 3, there's also some OpEx components. You can't escape it because there's things like SLAs that you need to pay, support, system integration, which is just OpEx, things like CDN, DRM, I'm sorry, installation, racks, but not to forget your own engineering personnel, your operations team, and your IT personnel. So all of these things you have to pay every year, and actually exceeds the capex if you tally it up for the 3 years, and that's about $7 million. So the bottom line at the end of the 3 years for your on-premise TCO is you're spending north of $11 million to make Arnaud TV happen. Now let's look at the cloud TCO. Of course, there's no surprise there is no capex, but because you're going to spend on CPU power in the public cloud, whether it be on Amazon or Google or whatnot, CPU resources for the processing of those 300 channels, and that's fixed. Every month, you need to pay for that capacity. And that's the bulk of the cost, and probably the biggest cost is the CDN as a service itself. You're not building your own bunch of servers to deliver all those streams, so you need to pay somebody to do it. There's a cost to it, and for 100K subs, it actually amounts to quite a bit. And then there's various other pieces that you need to pay for the apps and the content management, the DRM. Some of them vary with users. Some of them are fixed. But your bottom line is you're going to spend a little bit less, actually, than you would have spent for the CapEx on-premise options when you add up all those fees, assuming you're ramping up those users as planned. And that's, almost $11 million. Okay, so it's a little bit cheaper, not super compelling. But it becomes interesting when you look at the ROI. Now, when you compare the two options, you're seeing that for the on-premise case, based on your very large CapEx spending, the bulk of the costs happen the first year, and your ROI is actually negative. You're going to be losing a little bit more than $6 million the first year. You're not going to be profitable until the second year, assuming everything goes well. Of course, your costs go down over time, and your revenue goes up, and your ROI becomes probably more interesting the third year. But the total for the 3 years is about $7 million. And we compare that to the cloud ROI, you're profitable the first year because you get to market really quick. You're spending less initially, and it grows with the user base, so that's why your cost actually goes up a little bit. But when you do the total, you're actually about 3 times the ROI you would have with the on-premise option. So it's that's pretty good. And when things become actually really interesting is what I call the disaster scenario. This is the one where things don't happen to plan at all. And the assumption here is, we're getting to maybe 10,000 subscribers, best case, a tenth of what we projected. It's a total disaster. My CFO is going to have my head. I'm probably losing my job tomorrow. That's really bad. We're going to do the same math using this disaster scenario, see what happens. Now, of course, the on-premise option I'm not going to show you because it's the same fixed costs. It's going to be maybe a little less. Some of the OpEx is going to be reduced, but you're still going to be spending, in the order of those $10 million. Now, when you look at the cloud TCO, see what happens. Because some of the components are based on usage and consumption, this goes down. Because, of course, you're not having as many users, you're not having the success you counted, and you still have, in this particular example, a bunch of fixed costs which are associated with the processing of those 300 channels. That doesn't go down. That's what's the 43%. But you'll see that your CDN costs go down, your apps costs go down, and so forth. So you're spending less. You're spending $7.5 million. And when you look at the TCO, at the ROI, on the on-premise option, that's a complete disaster. Over 3 years, you don't even become profitable. You're not even near profitable, assuming you reach those 10,000 subscribers. You're losing $7 million over the 3 years. That's it. We're done. When you look at the cloud option, sure, you're still losing a little bit of money the first year, maybe $500,000. But because your costs go down as well, and you're not, even though you're not reaching the subs numbers you set out to, you're still making a little bit of money in years 2 and 3, and you're still making, some money over the 3 years. So you're coming out okay. You're even. Maybe I keep my job after all. So in summary, when you look at the pure total cost of ownership numbers, you compare CapEx on-premise versus public cloud in this particular example, your savings, I would say, are moderate. And this is maybe an extreme example because I use that on purpose, is to show you that even though you have fixed infrastructure costs, in both cases, for processing of those 300 live channels, which may be extreme, you're still able to save a little bit of money. So the cloud option, it becomes really interesting in terms of TCO savings when you do pure on demand, of course, we know that. But also maybe even more interesting when you do public and private and public hybrid options for live linear. Maybe do some of the processing on site and then the delivery and the user processing in the public cloud. So that becomes a really interesting combination. But the real impact of the cloud processing in this example happens on the return on investment, and that is huge. So that's what you need to focus on when you look at the numbers. That's what the CFO likes to see. And of course, it allows for much faster time to market, shorter cycles. You're becoming a lot more competitive because you can launch your devices, various formats a lot faster. And your spending is variable with usage, which means much lower risk. All right. And I'd like to finish with a small video that we did with our Nuage cloud partners. So some of the technologies embedded in the service that I've been talking about has been contributed by some of those companies.
We've been working with Envivio for over 5 years. The last 12 to 18 months, we've taken on a more strategic partnership with them, bringing some compelling live TV solutions to market.
Dolby's been working with Envivio for over 5 years, and during that time, we've often found ourselves together at the forefront of some of the advances within the broadcast and multi-screen delivery experiences.
Envivio has been a fantastic partner of Adobe, working together the last 6 or 7 years, and we've evolved the industry from just a single desktop experience to a multi-device experience.
It's been about 8 months now, and we very quickly realized that there was more that we could be doing together than, of course, meeting the needs of our joint customer. And that's really what led to what is today a very nice partnership between the two companies. What's changed from, say, 8-9 years ago to today, we've now got this thing called the cloud. And what it really does is it allows companies to deliver not just content, but it drops the costs for doing that quite dramatically. And it lets them get global scale very quickly. So it gets them a lot of benefits, and I think that's the change that us and Envivio and are trying to sort of pull together.
The cloud really offers scale and flexibility, as well as increased control for major service providers, while still maintaining the integrity and the security of the asset for the content owners.
The video cloud enables much deeper measurement and analytics, where we're able to understand the content the consumer's watching, understand more about that consumer, understand their tolerance for advertising, and then place advertising appropriate to them based on those tolerances.
I think live is a huge growth opportunity, and I think we're only just beginning to examine how the cloud can really help the live experience. And the other is new experiences like 4K video, ultra-high definition, new sound formats like Dolby Atmos, and personalization that the cloud can offer. All of those, I think, are places where we're going to see the cloud really explode in the next 2 to 5 years.
Envivio Nuage actually does just that. By moving the content protection up into the media workflow, we can give those major service providers the flexibility, yet still meet studios and content owners' requirements to protect and preserve those highly valuable assets. What will end up happening is they'll be able to then bring those compelling services to market faster, and there'll be a reduction in their overall cost to do so.
What we found is that the cycle of a content company developing a service, prepping it for distribution, happens today device by device by device. It's extraordinarily slow, and it's excruciatingly painful for management to watch this. Each device can take 9 months, maybe a year to come out. what we've done is we've automated this process, so there is no delay. You can literally go from the time you have your live streams ready, configured and tuned from the Envivio side, out in days.
With our partnership with Envivio, we've done some great things, including working together to bring 2 of the largest pay TV operators live with a complete multi-device infrastructure.
Together, we hold the distinction of bringing a customer, a mutual customer of ours, to Apple TVs and Rokus in 2.5 weeks from the first day that they met us to the day that they were live on the device. So I think our biggest calling card remains speed and reach.
So the reason that Microsoft Corporation works with Envivio is we do share a common vision for the future of media in the cloud. Additionally, we found them to be a very strong partner that had industry experience across a range of multi-screen solutions, with a lot of our top customers are their top customers as well.
Dolby and Envivio share a lot of the same DNA. We care about a lot of the same things. The customer is incredibly important to us. The experience we deliver is really important to us. The innovation that we can bring to the market is really important to us. And so with goals and objectives like that are really well aligned, it's just a pleasure to work with Envivio. We're able to take our efforts and put them in the same direction, trying to deliver just the best experience we can for our customers.
Any questions out there?
All right, so I'll ask a couple of questions about the ROI. So I guess it's not material to your comparison, but those costs wouldn't have included the costs to license the content to begin with. So the content partner wouldn't have included that.
I'm making complete abstraction of the content costs.
You're looking at the media
pure
pipeline.
Processing and delivery, correct.
Yeah. And I suppose also the marketing costs as well, in order, for that service to be, it's really the difference between your green scenario and your red one.
Correct, but I'm assuming they're about the same in both cases. You still have to do, to acquire the content, you still have to market the service.
Okay, and so in terms of your stack, your the total stack, the technology stack that you're providing, like for certain pieces like the CDN. So these are all yours. You're partnering with, say, an Akamai or somebody on the CDN, or is that yours?
It's a very modular solution. So if somebody comes to us and say, I want the turnkey, I want everything, I don't want to worry about any of those pieces, I don't have the knowledge of how this works, and I don't want to, we'll take that. We'll do that. We're running some of those pieces ourselves on Amazon Web Services or other infrastructure. But let's say somebody has a contract with Akamai already, they have pretty good pricing and experience with them, that's fine. They can continue to use Akamai, and we'll just plug into the Akamai ingest points.
Okay. Anybody?
All right, I guess if we don't have any other questions, we're going to try and start around 4:15. I just got to make sure Jason Casson is here at that time. I haven't seen him yet. So, all right, thank you.
Thanks.